Yeah, so I know I didn't post any reviews in November, but I actually watched a bunch of things in November. I'm pulling a sneaky and doing the recap at the start of the month, and I'll spend all of December posting my November reviews, and there's a reason for that, and we'll get into that. So let's talk about what I watched in November. Again, I watched a bunch of movies this month because of the way work, travel, etc. schedules worked out. I am going to be spending all of December working on those reviews and working on what I'm going to be doing to cap off the year, which we'll get into a little bit more later. I finished Emily in Paris. Again, this was fluffy, inane garbage, and there were so many moments that I would get really upset with, but then I would have to like sit back, be like, this isn't that deep, chill. It was dumb. And there are really good videos that go along with it. I recommend these videos in particular that talk about why the show is dumb and poorly constructed, especially when compared to its predecessors and just compared to general television at large. There was an article, didn't read the article, but the title introduces the concept of like background TV, ambient TV that isn't even meant to be watched. It's just meant to be heard in the background, and that this show kind of fits into that category, and I tend to agree. I definitely had it on just to play guitar to, just to work on my book to, just to ignore. If you want to read about why the show is garbo, please feel free to watch the videos in the description, but it's kind of obvious that it was garbage, and it's getting a second season that I will probably watch. I also finished Blood of Zeus. My fiance and I watched the rest of that, and never have I been so disappointed in a show. It became prime roasting fodder, but my fiance and I didn't get the hype or acclaim that the show had been receiving. We like Castlevania. We really liked that show, and we like it way more than this one, because even with characters like Sypha and Trevor and Alucard, who are kind of stoic, serious people, they had way more personality than Heron did in this show. I will say, Blood of Zeus does a good job with Hera. I really like what they do with her character. They make her an actual player in this whole situation, and I like that for her, and I like kind of how she's more of a force of nature rather than just Zeus's wife. They actually make her a pretty powerful god, and that's not something that I see all the time, and I appreciated that. The drama around the gods, too, was well constructed, and it actually was more interesting than what was happening with the humans, even though what was happening with the humans was influenced by the gods' actions. The characters as a whole were very wooden. The writing was cliche and was really uninspired at the end of the day, and we have all of this Greek mythology, and this was the best story we could tell, and that was really disappointing. They had hints thrown in at characters' backstories, and I feel like those are really wasted, because you can imply a bigger universe, but if we don't care about the characters existing in this current universe, we don't care about that expansion. They would throw in backstories for Alexia. I think her name was Alexia, the girl. They would throw in like backstory hints for her that like she would hallucinate seeing her parents, maybe? But seeing her parents, there was no emotional stake in it because we really don't care about her as a character. We aren't invested in her story. We're like, I guess these are her parents. Woo, scary. That being said, I am hoping that they get a second season, and I hope that they can get better. Supposedly they're going to introduce Medusa, which doesn't totally excite me, just because based on how they've handled existing characters, I'm not super confident they're going to bring anything new to the character, but maybe they will. And I do hope that they improve. I want the people working on the show to continue to have work. I don't think it was good. My fiance didn't think it was good, but we kept watching the show. And that's why I think the show should continue to get seasons. It should continue to be successful. I want it to improve. I want it to get better. We'll definitely give like the first episode of season 2 a try, and for all we know, we'll probably watch all of season 2 on accident. So fingers crossed it gets better, but season 1 was not anything to write home about, which in some ways is this video. Yeah. I also finally finished One Punch Man. Holy smokes, was that exquisite. I absolutely adored that show. The Deep Sea King arc was incredible, and the back half of season 1 elevates it from just another anime to high art. I adored that. The fight between Saitama and Boros was really well done. The dialogue between them was absolutely fantastic. I really like this world that they're building, and I'm so stoked for season 2. I've concluded I do like the dub for Saitama more. I think the humor comes through a little bit more for me, but this jumped into probably my top 10 favorite shows ever. I absolutely loved this. I can't wait to watch it again. Very much one I recommend. Absolutely fantastic. I am currently watching The Queen's Gambit. I'm about halfway through the show right now. You have drug-addicted child prodigies with a sharp 1950s aesthetic. Someone read my Christmas list this year. Anya Taylor-Joy is incredible. I adore the fact that Beth is prickly and cold with a strong sense of her own capabilities, but at the same time they open her up to be more than just an unfeeling badass. You know, she's not just a chess champion. She does still have emotions. She's still a teenage girl. And I appreciate that she begins to open up when supported by her mother, and she's the kind of messy lead I could really get behind. And for a show that could have really like soaked in the tisk, a woman cannot play chess, at least for my taste, I was pleasantly surprised at how they emphasized more that she's young and having that be a barrier. And Beth even levies a critique in an article that emphasizes she's a girl more than she's good at chess. And I think the show also goes into the fears of being young and successful and then being confronted with people younger than you and also successful, and I really like that. I appreciate too that her mother tries to understand the world of chess and that it went beyond just being supportive. I spent earlier episodes when she was first introduced really suspicious that her mom would more take advantage of the fact that her daughter is making money through chess and through going to these tournaments, but she has so far been pretty good. I like their dynamic and how they're both good for each other and bad for each other. I think that's really interesting, and I'm so curious to see what the back half of season 1 is going to do. Absolutely adore it. So good. So looking forward to more. Definitely recommend if you like tight drama. The production design is exquisite, and I definitely recommend it for that as well. And then we are also watching The Great Pretender, which is a Netflix anime. A lot of fun. The energy, the character designs, the music, the colors, all of it comes together to make a really vibrant, exciting show. And they throw in a few more surprises to keep things fresh, you know, just when you're like, okay, we figured out how they're gonna con people, they flip the script. It's really good. It reminds me a lot of like Catch Me If You Can and Dirty Rotten Scoundrels and kind of putting those together, but there are some elements of The Truman Show sprinkled in that I'm really into, and I think it's a lot of fun. And then we are also watching Kaguyasama Love is War, which is a show about these two student council high school students, and they love each other, of course, but they can't admit it. They want the other person to admit their feelings, and it takes this very simple setup and like escalates it to ridiculous proportions. And we finished season 1 and we started season 2, and the ending of season 1 was really like emotionally powerful in ways that I didn't expect the show to reach those depths, and I was really impressed with what they were able to do with this concept, and I'm really excited to see what season 2 brings. The character designs are cute. It's really high energy, really fun, and I think it does a good job of adding in narration and having like an omniscient narrator. But yeah, it's a lot of fun. I'm really looking forward to watching more of that. I also listened to quite a few. I listened to Taylor Swift's Folklore, because I figured I should listen to more than just music that's 50, 60 years old. Did I listen to it because Taylor Swift did an interview with Paul McCartney? Maybe. I don't know. It's not my thing, but I'm really happy for Taylor Swift fans. She should be really proud of this album. I think she does a lot of cool things with storytelling and lyrics. I think a lot of music tends to get super personal, but I think hers opened it up more into just telling stories, not even necessarily about herself. And I'm really happy for her that she got to prove herself on this album in ways that I think a lot of people don't necessarily give her credit for. But then I also listened to Janelle Monae. She has this 7-part concept album series. I listened to Suites 1 through 5 of this 7-part concept album series, and that was Metropolis, the Chase Suite, the Archandroid, and the Electric Lady. These are exquisite. If you take none of the recommendations I've made this year, take this one. Listen to these. These are incredible. She has concocted this whole world and this huge story revolving around this central character in music that is high energy, complex, beautiful. It is stunning. And the fact that Janelle Monae as a whole is really underrated as an artist, that's a crying shame, because this is a tremendous artistic feat. I was blown away by these albums so much. I really liked Metropolis, the first one, and Electric Lady, but the whole set so far is incredible, and I'm really looking forward to her getting back to that, to releasing Suite 6 and 7. And I love concept albums. I think those are really neat. It's a really cool way to like extend your artistic expression and really experiment, and I'm so happy that she chose to do it in this way because it's really well done. But yeah, that was what I finished, what I am watching, and what I listened to this month. But I wanted to briefly talk about what's happening next, because we're in December, which is the last year of this month, which is the last month of the year, and that means my year in movies will technically conclude. What am I doing after that? What's happening? I've got a couple ideas. One thing I want to do is I want to read my bookshelf, but I have a ton of books that I either haven't read or have read at some point and I still own. Are those books still good to me? Am I going to still enjoy them? I want to give myself a chance to read what I already own and talk about those. I think that would be really neat. I also want to do like a big year-end recap video where I quickly rank my movies that I watched this year. I'll probably like just explain what the rankings mean and then just like rattle them off, because I don't want the video to be an hour long. But I also want to talk about like the biggest surprises and biggest disappointments. I think that'd be really cool. I also want to talk about some of the content that I've enjoyed that isn't music or movies or books, and talk about like the YouTube stuff I've really enjoyed, because I've introduced myself to a lot of other channels this year, and what content have I watched consistently, and maybe it's stuff that you would enjoy. And then I also want to work in some actual videos that will stretch my skills even more. I would really like to rewatch the first review I ever did of Little Women and talk about what I learned from then to now and what I hope to take with me into next year, and keep doing this, keep doing something new. And I'm really looking forward to that. Yeah, thank you so much for continuing to watch. Thank you for rolling with this flippant format of starting with the recap and then getting into the reviews. That's just how it worked out this month. I hope to see you in the reviews that I'll be sending out here shortly. Hope you enjoy them. Hope you like them. And I hope you stick around for what's coming next, because I am very excited for that. Thank you so much for watching. I will see you next time.